Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is �nia and I'll be your moderator for today's week. There's also Adinda Jasmine who is going to be our timekeeper for today. Our motion for this debate is 𝗘𝗴𝗃𝗀𝗁𝗁 should be abolished. We will have a debate between Team A as the affirmative team and Team B as the opposition team. Before we begin, let me explain the rules of the debate. Each side has 3 speakers who will speak in turn. The affirmative side agrees with the topic and the negative side disagrees with it. The first speaker of each side will define the topic, present their team's line, outline their arguments briefly, and present the first half of their case. The second speaker of each side will review their team's line, review some of the main points of the other side, and present the second half of their case. The third speaker of each side will review their team's line, review all the remaining points of the other side, and summarize their case. Each speaker has maximum time for 4 minutes. I will give a sign when 1 minute are left. If you hear the sound, it means your time is up. You may finish your sentence and then stop. You may not transfer your spare time to another speaker. Are there any questions? If not, let us begin with our first speaker from the affirmative side.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, the member of this house. Good morning, Kania as the moderator and Jasmine as the timekeeper. Thank you for the opportunity that has given to us. Today we are going to deliver you our speech. First, let me introduce our team. I am Nasywa for first speaker, our second speaker Bthari, and the third speaker Jeffry. Next, I would like to give our motion today. Our motion is this house belief that death penalty should be abolished. From the motion, we will give our timeline that we as the affirmative team absolutely agree that the government should be abolished death penalty. First, it's all about humanity. One of it emerged due to the second amendment to Article 28A and 28I, paragraph 1 of the 1945 Constitution, which states that everyone has the right to live and the right to defend their life and livelihood. This right is a human right that cannot be reduced under any circumstance and by anyone, including the state. In the plenary session in 2016, the stance was taken to reject the death penalty because it closely relates to violating 2 aspects of human rights, namely the right to live and the right to be free from torture, and is not in accordance with the principle of human rights, humanity, and Fazila. The right to live and the right to not to be tortured are human rights that cannot be reduced under any circumstance, non-negotiable rights and constitutional right according to Article 28 of the 1945 Constitution. Law contains norms of life that are used as guidelines in society. Law can be interpreted as an instrument to protect society from all forms of crime that are general or individual in nature. There are 2 forms of legal treatment, starting from administrative sanction and criminal sanction. The death penalty does start is a punishment with the most severe scale of sanction for someone or their expertise. The death penalty is one type of enforcement of the main criminal law as regulated in Article 10 of the Criminal Code and is the most severe punishment. Everyone has dignity, basic rights to protection, and everyone is also very likely to make mistakes, but there is an opportunity to correct those mistakes. Here is the space for the state to punish someone to invoke themselves.
Thank you. Next, we invite the first speaker of the negative team.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Ladies and gentlemen, moderators of our teams, that we are proud of the speeches that we love. Thank you for the opportunity given. Before getting into my argument, let me introduce myself along with the division of text of each of us. I, Athallah, as the first speaker, and Aisyah as the second speaker, and Dino as third speaker. The motion is this debate is that this House believes that the death penalty should be abolished. We state that we do not agree with the motion that we will discuss this time. We believe the death penalty is still necessary for justice and safety in society. I will explain the three reasons why we oppose this motion. First, the death penalty ensures justice for serious crimes. According to study, retribution and the death penalty, a comparative and theoretical analysis by Douglas and 𝗏𝗏 explained how retributive justice can support the death penalty in certain cases. 𝗏𝗏 said that society has the right to exact retribution for particularly destructive crimes. Some crimes, like murder or terrorism, are so terrible that only the death penalty can provide fair punishment. It helps show that society takes these crimes seriously and gives justice to victims and their families. If the death penalty is removed, the punishment would not match the severity of these crimes. Second, the death penalty can deter future crimes. The fear of getting the death penalty can stop some people from committing serious crimes. Even if this doesn't work for everyone, it can still make others think twice before doing something horrible. Without the death penalty, some criminals might feel like the punishment is not strong enough to stop them. For example, is Singapore. Singapore is one of the countries that which firmly maintains the death penalty, especially for serious cases such as murder and drug trafficking. According to data from the Central Narcotics Bureau, the number of drug smuggling into Singapore involving international network has fallen significantly in the last few decades. Third, the death penalty protects society.
1 minute.
There are some criminals who are disadvantaged that even that prison is not safe. They could escape or start of the prison. The death penalty makes sure they can never harm anyone, keep society safe the people. For example, 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗁𝗁𝗏, the Colombian drug cartel boss, who after imprisonment was still able to control his criminal network and even lead major criminal operations from inside prison. Show how the prison system can be maintaining extremely dangerous individuals. In conclusion, the death penalty is important for justice, preventing serious crimes and keeping society safe. It gives a punishment that fits worse crimes. Stop some people from committing them, then remove dangerous individuals who can control the system. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we invite the second speaker of the affirmative team.
Thank you. Now, as the second speaker of the affirmative team, I will support my fellow teammates' arguments and state my arguments that will explain why I agree with the motion. The death penalty doesn't help the victims to come. According to DO, criminal law researcher from Indonesian Judicial Research Society, or IJRS, many victims experience trauma and fear, but most of the law enforcement process doesn't have to solve problems experienced by the victims. In fact, we expect the victims' recovery should be prioritized, either through legal, psychological, or medical assistance. So, the victims can also undergo recovery for their physical or mental health. In other words, the death penalty doesn't affect anything much for the victims. While the idea of retribution, seeing the person who caused so much harm, suffer, and injure, is a powerful motivation for some. It can also have negative psychological consequences for victims' families. Research suggests that holding onto desires for revenge or retribution can hinder emotional growth, can trap individuals in cycles of anger, resentment, and bitterness, making it harder to find peace or meaningful. Studies show that the pursuit of revenge can exacerbate the trauma the families experience, because it keeps them fixed in the past rather than helping them heal. The pursuit of vengeance can consume the emotional resources of victims' families, preventing them from grieving in a healthy way of finding meaningful ways to honor the loved one's memory. Instead of moving towards, families may find themselves trapped in cycles of pain. Moreover, the pursuit of justice through persecution often doesn't bring the sense of satisfaction of things the family expects. In some cases, victims' families may feel guilty or conflicted about the execution, realizing that it is not bringing their loved one back or undo the harm that was done. The desire of revenge can be ultimately fatal to fulfill deeper emotional needs the family often have, which are healing, remembrance, and peace. This system of wrongful conviction of the criminal justice is no longer theoretical but documented reality. Organizations like the Innocence Project have successfully exonerated more than 2,000 individuals who were wrongfully convicted and sentenced to death in the United States. DNA confidence has been confidential and fully exposed in many death penalty cases, where the convicted person's DNA either matched the found on the crime scene, or where critical evidence pointing to another suspect was overlooked or ignored. For some cases, the case of Randall Jail Adams highlights the dangers of wrongful conviction in death penalty cases. Adams spent 12 years in the death row in Texas for a crime he didn't know. In another case, the case of George Stanley Jr., a 14-year-old American-African boy who was executed in 1944, is one of the most tragic examples. Stanley was convicted of murder of 2 white girls based on court conviction and a trial that lasted only a few hours. He was executed within months. Decades later, after a re-examination of the case, it was determined that Stanley was likely innocent. But then, he had already been put to death. In conclusion, while the death penalty may seem like an inappropriate punishment for the most heinous crimes, there is a wrongful conviction to make it fundamentally wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we invite the second speaker of the negative team.
Thank you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Aisyah Novalinda, the second speaker of the negative team. Here to the person of arguments against the motion the death penalty should be abolished. My friends Athallah previously explained that the penalty can justice to serious crimes. Some of the serious crimes, assassination, rape, and the acts of terror. Those crimes are accused communist threat, punishment because the crimes are committed in the first place and the victim net justice, the right answer, the problem, and death penalty. Also, the death penalty gives justice for the victim and their family. Death penalty profit just for a victim and their family by recognizing the crime and loss they have suffered. It shows the crimes taken seriously and the legal system values the lives and impacted by it for many families in the sense of justice, health. Getting rid of the death penalty might feel the crimes in the ignorant, making it harder for them of find closure after causing uncovered one. Then the death penalty falls within diverse cultural and legal context. Different countries have their own unique values, traditional and legal system. In some places, the death penalty isn't as part of the culture or legal from work and with the value of their society. If the penalty were abolished every year, we considering this local difference in could be viewed as interfering and countries right to make its own laws and decisions. Essentially, it suggests that nations about the freedom to decide whether or not to keep the penalty based on its culture and legal context with pressure from other countries. In short, the death penalty in important ensure justice for serious crime, helping victims' family and closer, and respecting and each countries unique legal and cultural facts in imperfect punishment that matches the separately of the crime, the families and the sense of justice, and allow countries to make the decision based on their value of adoption. It called understand the 𝗘𝗴𝗃𝗃𝗃 aspect, which is why we do not agree with the motion.
Thank you. Next, we invite the third speaker of the affirmative team.
Okay, my name is Jeffry Maulana A. In closing, it is important to emphasize that the death penalty is a form of punishment that is not in line with humanitarian values and the principle of universal justice. The punishment directly violates the right to life, which is the most basic human right. Data also shows that the death penalty has no significant impact on reducing crime rates. In fact, many countries that have abolished the death penalty have been able to maintain lower crime rate through prevention and rehabilitation approach. In addition, the death penalty does not bring a real benefit to the victim or the victim's family. The victim's life will not be returned, and true justice is not achieved through revenge-based punishment. The focus should be on providing support to the victim's family and ensuring support to rehabilitate the perpetrator so that he does not repeat his actions. From a religious perspective, the death penalty also violates the principle of belief that only God has full rights over life and death, compassion, forgiveness, and effort to improve the life of the perpetrator. Absolutely, there are more in line with religious teachings. Thus, the abolition of the death penalty is not only a step toward respecting human rights, but also reflects our commitment to building a more just, effective, and human legal system. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we invite the third speaker of the negative team.
Okay, taking the lessons from the class from my friends from the negative team, and of course my friends from the school. Before I start, let me introduce first. My name is Dino, as the third speaker from the negative team. I just want to say that we stand still in our side that we do not believe about the motion that penalty should be abolished. Based on my previous arguments, I will further explain in some about why the death penalty shouldn't be abolished. Firstly, the death penalty ensures fair punishment for serious crimes. The death penalty makes sure that people who commit very serious crimes like murder and terrorism are punished in a way that fits the seriousness of what they did. These crimes cause a lot of harm to society and victims, so the death penalty is seen as the punishment that matches the damage caused. It is considered a fair response because it gives a punishment that reflects how terrible the crime was. This way, the death penalty helps show that these actions are unacceptable and also ensures justice for the victims and their families. Because the death penalty gives justice to victims and their families, acknowledging the hurt and loss they have gone through. Secondly, the death penalty can help prevent further crimes. The death penalty can act as a strong deterrent to potential criminals. When people are aware that committing serious crimes will lead to death penalty, it may take them think more carefully about their actions. Fear of such a severe punishment can cause some individuals to consider committing violent or harmful acts, knowing that the consequence could be life-ending. This fact can help reduce crime rates by discouraging criminal behavior, as the threat of facing the death penalty makes people less likely to engage in serious offense. Lastly, the death penalty helps protect society. The death penalty helps keep society safe. Some criminals are so dangerous that even if they are locked up in prison, they might still hurt others and try to escape. By carrying out the death penalty, these people are permanently removed from society, making sure they can cause any more harm. This protects innocent people from being harmed by dangerous individuals who have committed serious crime. Overall, the death penalty ensures fair punishment for serious crimes, helps prevent future offense, and protects society from dangerous individuals. It provides justice for victims and their families, discourages potential criminals, and permanently removes those who pose a threat. For these reasons, we strongly believe that the death penalty should not be abolished. Thank you.
The presentation of opinions has been completed. Finally, I invite the team to deliver a closing review for 3 minutes, starting from the opposition team and the affirmative team. The speaker from the opposition team is Ms.
Thank you everyone. In this final reply, I would like to brief summarize the key point raised by the opposition and explain why their argument for abolishing the death penalty is flawed. Firstly, when acknowledge the opposition concerns about human rights and the possibility of wrongful conviction. However, we agree that the death penalty is unnecessary punishment for the most serious crimes such as murder and terrorism. This crime occurs in intolerable harm to society and it is only fair that punishment matches the severity of the offense. The death penalty provides justice for victims and their families and ensuring their victories closer and that society values and upward. Secondly, we believe the death penalty acts as a strong deterrent to potential crimes. Therefore, of facing such a punishment makes people the twist before committing violent crimes, while no punishment can eliminate crime. Actually, the legislative person reducing serious oppression and protecting human life. Furthermore, the death penalty helps protection by permanently removing the most dangerous criminals. Some of these are violent or dangerous that act like imprisonment, cannot guarantee the will not harm other against in case criminal continue to pose a risk the death penalty ensure they can no longer harm innocent people. The permanent removal project list of mean and something for the public knowing that the most harmful individuals are not longer.
Next, speaker from the affirmative team is Kania.
Throughout this debate, we try to provide compelling evidence on logical reasoning to support our claims, and I believe our opponents have failed to answer these points. First, we believe the death penalty is against the human right. It is considered as cruelty and torture. Our opponents have argued that the death penalty serves as a death penalty, but this claim is not supported by credible evidence. Studies from multiple countries, including the United States and the European Union, shows that there is no conclusive proof that the death penalty is more effective at reducing crime than other forms of punishment, such as life imprisonment without parole. We have also shown that the death penalty doesn't provide closure for the families or victims. Our opponents may argue that this brings justice, but the reality is that perpetuate the trauma of those who already suffered loss. The long legal process, the appeals, and the years or even decades it can take more than execution is carried out of the reopened ones and prevent victims' families from healing. This prolonged suffering is compounded by the emotional toll of knowing that an innocent person will be executed. The death penalty may offer some sense of revenge, but as we've heard, vengeance doesn't heal emotional wounds. It doesn't restore the life of our loved ones, nor does it help families move forward with their life. In fact, restorative justice and supportive counseling offer far better avenues for recovery, enabling victims' families to focus on healing, remembrance, and finding peace rather than becoming embroiled in this endless life for the legal victims. Death penalty can lead to wrongful convictions. There are some cases the death penalty aimed the wrong person who was accused as the perpetrator. While the death penalty may seem like an appropriate punishment for the most heinous crimes, the risk of wrongful convictions may get fundamentally flawed. Lastly, from a religious perspective, the death penalty also violates the principle of belief of God as holy life over life and life. Compassion, forgiveness, and efforts to provide the life of the perpetrator are values more aligned with religious needs. We, as humans, do not have the right to take each other's life. That's all.
Thank you. Finally, we have reached the end of this debate. I would like to say thank you to all the presenters for the great presentation. Thank you for your attention and have a good day.